All right, fantastic. Welcome to show prep for the rest of the heathen community because none of them are thinking about it in the same way that I am. Does that mean I'm wrong? No. It means that most of them that are promoting themselves aren't qualified to carry my water bucket, and I hope that truly upsets everyone. Isn't that wonderful? That kind of thing right there can generate more free publicity than you can imagine. No, really and truly, I care that everyone gets started. I think that's the most important thing. But last week we started a thing on this leadership and recovery. We'll see if it goes anywhere. I hope that it does. I at first had a favorable response from the institution, and now all of a sudden I do not. Perhaps they looked up something about me online, some comments somebody made in the past trying to take a shot at the man on top. I'm still here. Most of them are not. So, be that as it may, let's continue on. So, I did use, as I said I would, the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, right? So, we know it only has about a 9% success ratio. But by the same token, it does have a success ratio. Whereas a lot of the stuff that we look at in this day and age does not. Ain't that something? So what is step 3? So this is the real trouble with it all. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. This one's a struggle. But all it says is that we've made a decision. All it says is that we come to a crossroads where life has got to a point that somewhere inside us we have this feeling that I might need a little help. Usually by that time we've burnt the bridges. Usually by that time those individuals that know us have no use for us. Most of the people that show up here in this alternative faith, this fringe element of the spiritual world, like so many other fringe elements, do so out of desperation. No one shows up at the doors of the church because everything's going hunky-dory in their life. Right? Nobody shows up here because, well, they've got all the material wealth and things that they need. This is where we have a problem. And we make a decision, most of us. And we choose a path. It could be Hellenistic, it could be the Kemits, it could be Celtic, it could be Druidry. I've seen Romano Celts, West African Yoruba, Voodoo, Wicca, Native American spiritual beliefs. Some people decide to go with the more established routes of Buddhism or Hinduism or Shinto. Very neat thing about all of them is there are gods there that are on our side. I think sometimes that's all it feels like we need, isn't it? That someone's on our side. That something somewhere might still give a damn. I remember when I made a decision at one point in my life, and I went to the Christian church. And I've said it before, and I'll say it 100 more times. It's one of the big ones in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Phenomenal facility. I went there a few times. First time I went in there, everybody had the best buckle clothing on, $120 pair of jeans, a $50 t-shirt, all of it ridiculous, all of it promoting some idea that they might truly be savage if they got angry enough, which is in effect about 4,000% less effective than people think it really is. The people sitting in the front row made their $1,000 seed of faith donations, and the preacher called them by name, knew them as friends, while he milked them for money in the good Lord. I sat in the back row. I didn't have anything. Certainly didn't have the best buckle attire. And most certainly didn't have $1,000 to my name. The music, the atmosphere, the all of it, the ambiance of the entire thing. I remember sitting there, tears running down my face. I went there for a few weeks. until somebody, and for the first few weeks, nobody shook my hand. Nobody was interested in knowing the loser, the lost one. But I had made a decision, hadn't I? I had made a decision to find some kind of faith. I had made a decision to, I didn't know about the turning my will and my life over. Is that necessary? Is that real? Is that truly the way things should be? That I should have no independent free will? That I have, as we've talked about, my life had become so, I'd made my life so unmanageable that I had to believe that something better than myself could restore me, pull me out of the sanity. But now I've got to give up my will as well. Is that necessary? Is that true? My life? Do I have to, all the things that go with my perception of life? What they're talking about here is that dedication to faith, that dedication to a spirituality. The large part of that means I'm going to believe in something while I try to negotiate these difficulties of the world. I'm going to believe in something that allows me just a modicum of courage, maybe a dash of hope, that I can continue to put one foot in front of the other. If I look at my faith, if I look at the Poetic Edda, the first part of the Poetic Edda, it's very clear, and few people ever see it. The first couple, 1 through 7, 1 through 6, 1 through 5, right? It talks about 1 through 4, talks about welcome the guest, be hospitable. Very first thing. Second thing is, you got to have some wisdom. The witless man, the wise, shall wink when among such many sits. Man shall not boast of a keenness of mind, but keep it close to his breast. To the silent and wise does ill seldom come. The knowing guest goes to the feast, and silent attention sits. Right? Happy the one who wins for himself favor and praise. Happy the who has while he lives wisdom and praise as well. A better burden may no man care, for wandering's wide than wisdom. Right? That's in there twice. Less good there lies than most believe in ale for mortal men. For the more he drinks, the less does man of his mind the mastery hold. Over the beer of bird of forgetfulness broods, and steals the minds of men. With heron's feathers I fettered I lay, and in Gunnloth's house was held. Drunk I was, dead drunk, when with Fjalar wise I was. 'Tis the best of drinking, if back one brings his wisdom with him home. Don't be a sluggard. He believes he shall live forever. The fool is agape when he goes to the feast. He alone is aware who has wandered wide and far abroad has fared. What great a mind is guided by him that wealth of wisdom hath. Shun not the mean, but drink in measure. The greedy man, if his mind be vague, will eat till he's sick. The herds know well when home they shall fare, and then from the grass they go. But the foolish man, his belly's measure, shall never know aright. A paltry man, a poor of mind, and all things sounds kind of like the way I lived. I was greedy. I didn't know when to quit. I would eat. I was a hog. I ran my mouth. I was arrogant, brash, prone to drinking too much. The foolish man for friends, all those who laugh at him will hold. When among the wise he marks it not, though hatred of him they speak. The foolish man for friends, all those who laugh at him will hold. But the truth, when he comes to the council, he learns that few in his favor will speak. How interesting. Friendly of mine are many men, till feasted they mock at their friends. To mankind, a bane it must ever be when guests together strive. Oft should one come an early meal, nor fasting come to the feast. Else he sits and chews. Crooked and far is the road to a foe, though high on the house on the highway it be. And then it says, it goes in here to be satisfied with what you have. Better a house, though a hut it be. Be generous. The Havamal is a miraculous writing. that when we look at it, when we compare our lives to it, it seems to me it makes it easy to make a decision to turn my will and my life over to the gods as we understand them. Now, that does not mean that I sacrifice free will. This one is the biggest thing, to turn our will over. This is where it says, let Jesus take the wheel. Jesus cannot drive. That motherfucker doesn't even know what a car is. He certainly doesn't have a license. How about we make a decision to align our will and our lives in accordance with the gods? The two great journeys that begin the prose Edda are very simple. These two men seek out to find, good evening. These two men seek out to find, why does everything go their way? Is it because of their nature, or is it because of the gods they worship? How interesting. This 12 step, this step of surrender, for many, this is the curse of the church. The Bible itself doesn't say that God will do it for you. The Bible says he will do all things. You can do all things through him who strengthens you. Once again, the power of alignment with the ideas of divine inspiration become that hallmark, become that very hallmark of your ability to try to become something more, something better, something stronger, to try. Look at the great example of Hercules and his 12 labors. Hercules and his 12 labors is this idea that he is killing his ego. He is rooting out the weaknesses that reside within men. And he too begins the ascension. These are not ideas that say, I'm going to do it for you. All right? These are, this is how you do it. The have them all is that perfectly phrased and paragraphed ideas that allow us with our thought process to align ourselves with these ideas of divinity, right? The labors of the, let's see here, let me find that again. Someday I'll be a professional and have all that ready, but it just hit my head. So each one gives him immortality. Each one gives him a path towards immortality, which is interesting. Let's see if I can see it all. Each one represents some idea, right? The Nemean lion, the symbol of courage, right? Courage in the face of adversity, right? That seems pretty good, right? The Lernean hydra, the symbol of resilience, right? That ability to overcome obstacles that seem to multiply or reappear. Alcohol, drugs, those kinds of things is that problem that tends to reappear. It is that thought process that raises its ugly head every time we say, no, not tonight, I got something to do. The Cernian hind, the symbol of perseverance, capturing the hind alive. Sacred to Artemis, known for its speed, symbolizes the importance of perseverance and patience in pursuing one's goals. All of a sudden, things start to look a lot similar to our 9 noble virtues. The boar, the symbol of self-control. The Algian stables, a symbol of purification. The Stymphalian birds, the symbol of focus. The Cretan bull, a symbol of strength. The horses of Diomedes, symbol of taming of wild forces. Taming the man-eating horses of Diomedes symbolizes mastery over wild and destructive forces within oneself or one's environment. Let me tell you something. If you don't have strength, focus, purification, self-control, perseverance, resilience, courage, you are not going to be able to tame that wild force. And when you tame that wild force, you get the belt of Hippolyta, the symbol of diplomacy, negotiation, peaceful resolution to conflicts. Cattle of Geryon, the symbol of unity, right? Unifying the different aspects of ourself. Apples of Hesperides, right? A symbol of wisdom. Cerberus, symbol of confronting fear of death. I assure you, once you've gone through those things, once you've aligned yourself with these ideas in the poetic, once you have an understanding of these 12 labors of Hercules, once your thought process aligns itself with all of these things, young was I once and wandered alone, and not of the road I knew. Rich did I feel when a comrade I found. For a man is a man's delight, right? The lives of the brave and noble are best. Sorrows they seldom feed, but the coward fear of all things feels, and not gladly the niggard gives. When you're dealing with an idea that we have made a decision to align our will and our lives over to the ideas as expressed by the gods, as we understand them, we make a commitment to try to live up to that. That's a very hard thing to do when we're trying to deal with these things. And yet that common story appears throughout time and history. You want to know what it looks like? You want to know what it is in a nutshell? I'll tell you what it is in a nutshell, right? And it applies to all of us. It applies to all of us. We've made that decision, right? It creates a stable story in our lives. It creates an idea that we can fall back on again and again and again in every situation and all of the difficulties that we have and all of the challenges that we're faced with, and we can stabilize ourselves. It stabilizes the individual. And you know what happens when you have a stable life? You restrict those ideas of anxiety. Holy shit, now I'm already making progress about not drinking like a fucking fool every goddamn night. When you see somebody go to the store and buy a case of beer with the intention of drinking that entire case of fucking beer tonight, that tells me something's wrong. Right? So we create this stable story. We follow, which begins to stabilize us as individuals. It begins to restrict our anxiety. And all of a sudden, we have a little bit of hope. And it's such an undefined, broad thing that we have lived lives we cannot even begin to imagine what it really looks like. Oh, shit, this is hope. I have an idea that the future could be better. I've aligned myself with these principles and ideas, and I try to live them. Holy shit, things might get better for me. We tend to become more productive and generous, just like it says in the Have 'em All. Wondering why, the no better gift, no better tool than for wondering why than wisdom. Holy shit. Think of the traveler, a stranger in a strange land, a stable individual traveling, restricting their anxiety and have hope, because that's what we become when we decide to set this kind of stuff aside and begin to live life as we were meant to. We become more productive and generous. Once again, there we see the same thing written in the Have 'em All. Holy shit. The Have 'em All is the foundation of the ideas that you should be able to find in all of the rest of the Poetic and the Prose Edda. Those concepts, once you align themselves with them, and if you need to, look at the 12 labors of Hercules. If you need to, look at the life of Buddha and how he found his enlightenment. If you need to, look at Shiva and the same thing. Died, resurrected, spent 3 days in hell, resurrected, ascended. Hercules died 3 days in temptation in hell, resurrected and ascended to immortality. Dionysus, crucified, resurrected, crucified, 3 days in the underworld, resurrected, immortality. Again and again and again, these individuals that align themselves with these ideas, none of them are saying, we're going to do it for you. That's why AA has a 9% success ratio. Because at some point, people realize, shit, nobody's going to do this but me. And I've been waiting on this over here to be the tool to take care of these things. And I never bothered to build the tools necessary to do it my fucking self. Oh shit. What an amazing realization. We become productive and generous. What's the better part of that? When all of that happens, when it is extended, it unites people. Wow. We're not waiting on some divine flash of inspiration, though it is possible, though it may come in a dream, it may come in a vision, it may come in an action or a sign or some situation. We can consider them blessings. But we can also consider that the universe reacts to us. There's a powerful thought too. And then in our alignment of ourselves towards these divine principles as outlined in the Have 'em All, if you read it, and then you'll see it show up again. Oh shit, it's over here. Oh shit, it's in this Hindu tale. Oh, here it is in this. Here's a Shinto idea with the exact same thing in it. Son of a bitch. As Jordan Peterson says, it is a story across time. It is a story across geography, history, time, race, nation, whatever you have. It's a stable story that stabilizes the individual, aligns them with a divine precept. It restricts our anxiety, the worry we have about the future. It begins to give us hope. It makes us productive and generous as we live, not just pray, but live, but walk the walk. And when extended, it unites people. But it doesn't come free. We are born with ideas that we learn, that we are taught, structures, frameworks, thoughts, ideas. Turn the other cheek, let them do that. But we must slay that Nemean lion. We must develop that symbol of courage. What does that lion look like in your life? Right? The lives of the brave and noble are best. How do you become brave? Right? The coward fear of all things feels, and not gladly the niggard gives. What is the lion that you got to kill in your life? Is it, when this comes into step 4, right? Right now, all we're doing is making a decision to align ourselves with these divine principles. Now, here's the thing about it. Nobody's looking over your shoulders and, oh, you're going to smoke a turd in hell for that one, right? Nobody's saying that. But people are willing to help. It ain't going to happen for 30 minutes after you make the decision. I'll tell you that right now. But give it a day. Give it 2 days. Try to do the right thing. And I assure you, as you try to do the right thing, as you try to align yourself with these ideas, other people will do their best to tear you down. Most notably, individuals who are completely driven by ego, who have never accomplished a damn thing, and will do anything they can to make sure you understand it is everyone else's fault and not mine. The decision to make these things comes from us. But we've got to learn to lead ourselves, right? Do you know what the very first principle of leadership happens to be? It says, know yourself and seek self-improvement. That's the very first principle of leadership. And that is a principle that is hands down everything that covers it all. Know yourself and seek self-improvement. Be technically and tactically proficient. Seek responsibility. Take responsibility for your actions. Make sound and timely decisions. Set the example. Know your people. Look out for their well-being. Keep your people informed. Develop a sense of responsibility in your subordinates. Ensure the task is understood, supervised, and accomplished. Train your people as a team. Employ your team in accordance with the strengths and capabilities. When extended, it unites people. You can take those principles and look at any leadership course in America, and you will find aspects of that principle. You can take any kind of treatment plan, of recovery, of building oneself, all these self-help, build yourselves, be an alpha male, fucking bunch of bullshit. You will find these 12 labors in those tasks. And you will find parts of them in these 12 steps. All we need to do is make a decision to align our will and our lives over to the divine as we understand it. Align with it. That means read it. That means sit down and read it. Now, I've read many of these things, and I'm going to toot my own horn. There is no one out there that writes books on this subject like me that creates that idea that allows you to figure that out. No one. So what does that tell you about the majority of people that are writing about this? Well, you can go to the academic. You'll never fail there because everybody's writing the same thing. Right? Oh, it's peer reviewed. Well, that means they're all blowing smoke up each other's ass about how right they think they are. Heaven forbid a discerning opinion comes up and says, that's not right. Ask Graham Hancock. But these ideas of developing courage, resilience, perseverance, self-control, purification, symbol of focus, symbol of strength, the taming of wild horses, unity, wisdom, and losing the fear of death. It is a true dichotomy of insanity that I did the things that I did and was still terrified of dying. There comes a time when you live this kind of life, when you truly live it. It doesn't mean you're a goody two-shoes. It doesn't mean that you can walk on water. But it does mean that you are a stable individual. It does mean you have a little bit of hope. It does mean you can be productive and generous. And when you get ready, when you want to, you can unite people to follow you. But you got to start by figuring out how to lead yourself. By knowing yourself and seeking self-improvement. Well, I don't have money for a therapist. What should I do? How should I go about this? Well, these 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous may not necessarily be relegated to simple alcoholism. You could be a general, complete, absolute fuck up of an individual. Chances are, if you're sitting in the big house, you are. Like me. Sitting there with a white Chevy pickup, 2001 Chevy pickup truck, and no one and nowhere to turn to but mama. What a bitch of a man that is. Right? My decision was made for me. I hope yours is too. I hope that somewhere along the way, with that decision, that brief glimpse of what I thought might be possible, that brief glimpse of something out of this world amazing, of that blessing, allowed me to realize that with these two hands, I could do anything that any other man had done. And when you calm down and you restrict that anxiety and you start focusing on woe is me, woe is me, woe is me, I can't because they, and you start accepting responsibility for your own decisions, you take a look around, you realize that everything you see, every car, every house, every financial instrument, the light grid that lights your homes, the air conditioning, the TV, the programming on the TV, the music, the books, all of this on the internet was built because somebody had enough of an idea in themselves and believed in themselves and put one of these and one of these to work and built their life. Were they good men? Probably not. Behind every great fortune is the shadow of a lie. But some of us never even figured out how to lie properly about that kind of stuff to build anything much bigger than our ego. Once again, distracted by the shiny rocks, seeking heaven, and getting distracted by the fancy ideas here and low over there and low over here. And all of a sudden, I have a magnificent ego. I'm a wonderful person. I haven't done or accomplished a fucking thing. What are the chances, do you think, that an individual has when they align themselves to those same principles that guided emperors and Hercules and Shiva and Gilgamesh and King Arthur and all of the great men throughout history, all of the men in your family tree who believed they could do it, or they were too stupid to understand they couldn't do it and they went and did it? I would submit to you that if you analyze or take a look at much of it, you will find that the aspects of faith were a prominent aspect of everything they did. There was no need for them to struggle with making a decision to turn their will or align their will and their lives with the gods. They had a plethora of examples of individuals who had aligned themselves with higher thought processes, with higher principles, who raised their vibration. Yeah. And accomplished great things. There were other men who were murderous, rampaging terrorist fucks, and for a brief moment, they also had success. Thing is, that kind of stuff don't last. It can't withstand in a world that was designed for individuals like us. Think about it. Right now, there are churches across America. There are Hindu temples and Buddhist temples and us and everybody else. The day after, what is this? Who are working to align themselves with the thought processes of their gods. Think of all that energy from hundreds of millions, if not billions of people. The individuals that seek to do harm to others to anticipate or make themselves greater doesn't stand a chance. But for us, all we need to try to figure out how to do is align ourselves with these ideas and concepts of the gods. Yeah, I think that's all I've got. So, if you haven't liked and subscribed to this channel, I encourage you to do so. Share it, let people know about it. It's been shadow banned long enough. I'm tired of sitting in the shadows. So, here about 8 o'clock, I have a Gothy conference call. And pretty soon, I think that I have a block of instruction on my Patreon about self-publishing. I'm fixing to redo that and launch it. This will obviously be on my Patreon. For those at the $25 level, they will have access to all of the Gothy training programs that, well, no, they won't either. Stupid thing. I gotta find that, don't I, Leroy? Anyway, I encourage you to join it. It's worth it. There's as much information on there as there is on here, and much of it much better. Reflect on it for the week. Give it a week. I'm not asking you to change anything about your life. I'm not asking you to change how you think, how you feel, how you believe, anything. All I'm simply saying is think about what it would look like if you aligned your life with these principles that we just talked about. It. Thanks, Leroy. What would your life look like if you lived that? The problem is that so many of us have been beaten down so far, so low, for so long. We have no idea how to even fashion an image of that. And those, my friends, those are our brothers And that's who we reach out to. That's who we give a hand to. That's how we talk to them. Let them go be a drunk for another day. Doesn't hurt us. But when the time comes, unite, extend it, and unite people. What greater thing could we accomplish in the world than to help another man or another woman live a life of worth? Thank you all. Tomorrow is Monday. Once again, here we go. Grab it by the nose and whip its ass. And I will I'll get this written in book form too, and get it shared with the prison system, and see if we can take these men and give them some tools to go out and be the good men that their mamas believed they can be, that their grandmothers believed they could be. Imagine the effect that would have on our society to have these men, that many good men in our world again. We'll see. Thank you. Have a great night. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. And for those of you on the Gothy program, I will see you in about 20 minutes. So, like I say, grab it by the nose and whip its ass and enjoy the blessings you deserve.